Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm Merces and today we're playing more 7 Days to Die. So, let's get started. Okay, so here is the stats. We are currently on day 116 of our 7 Days to Die Alpha 19 playthrough series. However, as of recording right now, Alpha 20 has dropped and yeah, I actually want to start playing that. Because of that, we're going to abandon this world over here in Alpha 19 and start on the Alpha 21. Last episode, we actually had the finale, which is a nice sort of ordinary episode. However, before we actually get ended with that, I do actually want to do a world tour before that. Plan was to do it on day 150, but we just wasn't able to get there. I kind of lost motivation in the end here, so... But anyways, I do actually still want to do a world tour though, just to sort of go over all the detail or the changes that happened since the last world tour. Because we had another nearly 40 hours of in-game work since that, so yeah. Most of it has been of course spent on both the panels, the main game, main base itself. So therefore I actually want to go and take a look at it. So in this episode, we're going to go over this the two bases we have, so the horde base itself over here and the main base, and then in the next episode we're going to go over the actual world itself. So look at all the sort of the mines around the place, all of that stuff, look at the traders, look at the biomes, different projects we have had, different cities and stuff we looted, and we're also going to go and do a item count. At least I think one. I did a pretty detailed one last episode, so I might just copy paste that one, but yeah, we'll see. Anyways, let's get started with the horde base. Okay, starting with the horde base here. I actually did a pretty detailed look of this base in the last world tour, so if you want to see that, you can just go and watch that. So I won't be going for too much detail this time, but we'll go over some of the basics. Firstly, we have just recently had a horde night, so I haven't actually had time to repair it, so that's why there's so much damage down here. But yeah, so this time I decided to go for a pillar-based design, which is basically that you have sort of a platform you stand on top of, supported by these pillars. And the all of these basically that these zombies themselves will go around here. They will start basically knocking on the pillars themselves, and then of course you will stand up here and shoot them. Got a bunch of traps here as well, so we have the entire bottom floor here is covered in spikes. You can also take the second there as well, but I end up just not doing that. We have blade traps all around there, so every single pillar here, which can have two on either side, on both sides here, can actually have a blade trap, so the same here as well. And then we also have 6 rows of electric fences at the end here, or at the beginning. These are pretty nice because when we're standing up here, we can just basically stay here and just easily, like they're completely stuck, so we can easily headshot them. And I believe also, if I'm not mistaken, at least this was the case before, I think that if they're stunned, they actually take more damage. In this base here, we're actually completely covered in, or walled in with iron bars and stuff, so that means basically nothing can actually go through. Birds is a little bit of a problem on that one, so to fix that, we have a hatch at the top here, which is basically the only way in the base, and we have 4 SMG auto turrets on top of here. Apart from the 4 doors, this is the only way in, so the birds will actually target either doors where we can just shoot them, or the actual hatch itself where they will get auto killed. That's that. The entire base is upgraded to steel, and the actual pillars themselves is also covered in plates. So there's actually 5 blocks here. There's actually 5 steel blocks here for this pillar, which gives them a little extra strength. Well, of course, disadvantage, which is fact, is that you only have to destroy like 1 block level for all of them, and the whole thing will collapse. But it is actually quite resilient. You can have about 3/4 of all the pillars collapsing without, or like be destroyed without actually anything happening to the base. That's quite nice. On the outside there, for extra added protection, we have 12 shotgun towers, which I call them. Basically there's this towers here, which has 4 shotgun auto turrets on the base here. pointing in each of the four directions, north, east, southwest. And above there, there's a spotlight as well, which just gives us a bit of light, which is nice. So yes, there's 12 of them. There's sorry, there's not 12, there's 8. How is messed up? Yes, there's 3 on this side, 3 on this side, and the one in the ends. Yeah. In terms of wiring stuff, the blade traps themselves are wired from the 4 generators in here. These also take care of the actual auto turret above. And from the actual generators, there is wires that goes to this little relay here. And this then just go down to the blade traps themselves. Initially, I actually had everything wired from the generators inside here, but that just doesn't work because like cops and stuff like to destroy these relays. As you can see, quite a lot of them taken. I started making this like sort of more protected blocks here for them, but they also just don't work for some reason. I think the damage can just like pass through the blocks, so yeah. The shotgun towers are actually wired from the shotgun tunnels below here. So going through this hatch here. This is a sort of the control centers. We have 5 generators here. These 2 aren't just for lighting, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Right, no, sorry. This one is for lighting, this one's center one. And then these 2 are for the this one is from the lighting downstairs here, and also the spotlights. These 2 are for the shotgun turrets, and these 2 are for the actual electric fences, I think. So over here we just have a bunch of wiring just to go for. And yeah, so that's that. Also, there's also a hatch here as well, because I found out actually that the zombies, which is a problem, if they manage actually to, because they will target the actual shotgun turrets here. If they take this iron bar here and just plate this block and the thing here, they can actually just like walk down into the turrets or tunnels. That will do 2 things. It will first disable all of the traps we have on the base, but it also will just mean that a bunch of zombies will be stuck down here. And during the Horde night, there can only be like 64 zombies spawned at the same time, which means that will take up the spawn cap and they will stop spawning. Which is a bunch of damage. So yeah. Anyways, that's basically the entire Horde base. Also, below the Horde base, there's actually what I call the Foundation. So the Foundation is just basically a giant block of concrete, starting with the top layer, which is actually steel. Below here, I think there is 4 layers? 3 or 4 layers of solid concrete. So basically, yeah, you can see here, like this is just solid concrete, completely through. And there is there's 3 layers of concrete and then a layer of steel on top, and that just adds a huge amount of things. Because one thing we found out was that in one of the Horde nights, we had several demolishers exploding, plus some cops exploding, and that basically just blew through the top here. And then they just started like digging below and stuff as well, so that just ended up with massive damage. Anyways, that's it for the Horde base itself. Let's actually go and take a look at the main base. So, this here is the actual main base itself, or in fact this is just the entrance, or the above ground portion of it. This is basically just sort of a protective shell which protects the entrance, so that if there's a screamer horde or roaming horde or that, we have a bit of a protected box. I over-engineered this quite a lot because the initial plan was to actually be able to fight hordes with this base, but that got postponed just because the Horde Knights turned out to be way too tough for that. So yeah. This is the same design as the base we had in Alpha 16. So we got the spikes, the 50 pillars with spikes around. And we got this like concrete quarter blocks you can stand on. But yeah, we actually never did anything into this, and it's just for somewhat protecting streamers, but yeah. So let's actually head downstairs then. So, and on the entrance little tube here, we actually get into this place, which is the center room, which is a 9x9x5 cube or room. And this this was like the primary room of the base for a very long time. It was where we had all of our storage up until quite recently, as well as where we had all of our sort of like crafting stuff and things. So yeah, so the base is basically split into 3. To the left here is everything related to crafting. To the right here is everything related to storing stuff. And to the bottom here is just sort of stuff for fun, essentially. More or less. So, take a look at the crafting first. So going to the stairs, let's actually go and turn on the electrical stuff first, because we do actually now have electricity. It's nice. So the tunnels or the corridors here actually have lights. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to hook up this stuff just yet, but this stuff is hooked up. So we can see actually this again is another corridor, and so split up into different rooms. This here is the generator room itself, which is kind of incomplete, but oh well. This is the concrete room, and the way this is laid out, and I will be doing the same thing for Alpha 20, is each room has sort of a dedicated purpose. And then it has sort of like all the storage requirements and all the machines and or crafting stuff like that required to actually make this. So this is the concrete room, which means this needs storage of wood for fuel for forges, stone and cement for making these two things, also sand, which I didn't actually end up doing. It needs forges for creating cement, and it needs cement mixers for actually creating cement or concrete mix. So we have 10 forges, and I also grouped them together. So whenever we have forges, we have 5 of them in a row on either side, and same with mixers as well. So yeah, not too much to say about this. Making a bunch of concrete mixer. Later on, I actually also added in these lights as well. I initially used torches here, but I actually decided to change them to just the industrial lights, and they're wired from this light here. Second up is the generics main crafting room, where we have just like 2 of every crafting station in the game, with the exception of campfires, because we don't need them. And it's just used like just make all the stuff. So bunch of light again. Next up is a iron forge room, which has just stores all of our iron stuff to be melted down, and has 10 forges for crafting iron stuff. They're all upgraded. All the forges in this base is upgraded with both an anvil and bellows, and these ones are upgraded with a crucible. For the most part, I think we're missing some though. And yeah, we got some stuff as well. Storage for wood, clay, and iron. I don't think the wood is actually used. No. That's just more fuel though. And the last room here is the actual ammo room. So we have a room just dedicated to making bullets. So with clay, coal, brass, bullet casings, paper, gunpowder, buckshot, bullet tips, lead, nitrate, and more clay. So we have 4 workbenches for making the bullets themselves. We have 4 chemi tables or chemistry stations for making gunpowder. And then we have 5 forges for making or melting down lead, and 5 forges for melting down brass. Going over to the storage room next up. You can just go back up to there, or you can just actually follow this little tunnel here. I found out that it's a little bit inconvenient having the crafting stuff over here and the storage over here, because there's a little bit of distance between, so I made this tunnel to fix that, although it doesn't really fix it too much. So similar to actually the main crafting room, or the crafting area was sort of divided into sort of groups. These ones are also grouped into together. So we have one stair for materials, which I decided to be rotting flesh, bone, glue, wood, gas, shale, oil, leather, polymer, plant fiber, paint, and cloth. And that's just sort of like what I think is materials. Also, every 5 blocks here we have a light as well. Next up is components, so mechanical parts, electrical parts, duct tape, spring, acid, headlights, and military fiber. So that's what the materials is kind of like sort of raw resources, but this is a bit more sort of refined, I guess you can say. And then lastly, we have different types of ammo. So 7.62 arm piercing rounds, 9mm, 45, shotgun shells, feather, arrows, crossbow bolts, something like that, just miscellaneous stuff, and explosives. And I was meant to have actually more groups too, but I just didn't, or categories actually, but I didn't really find too many others, so I just have sort of a generic storage room. So we have a chest here for just storing my tools, the ones I use, currently not in use. Then we have 3 chests here for just sort of dumping random stuff, and then we're like out looting or something, I just dump stuff in here. And then we have 2 walls, one here, one here for just other random stuff, so batteries, vehicles, valuables, all those things. In the next episode, I will be opening all the chests and just sort of going over all of our actual items. So stay tuned for that. And then lastly, over here, we have the power room for the actual storage area. So this is just where the actual power lines comes from. I'll go to that later, but it's a basic tunnel from the actual generator room all the way over here. So up here is the actual 9x9 cube, but if we go down this way, we get to a tunnel over here, which takes us to another corridor. If we go up here, this is supposed to sort of be the sleeping quarters, so just sort of like a, some fancy stuff, some like a, not quite sure, just a bunch of random stuff basically. Made for fun, but I never actually got to do that, unfortunately. Continue this tunnel here, we get into the center of the base. This is the central room of the entire base itself, at least I think so, not sure. Got another staircase up to the 9x9 cube up here. Going over this way, we have another tunnel which goes over to the crafting area. So basically it's quite interconnected, there's multiple paths to each area, which I like. And then go up here, we have a kitchen, a canteen, or this is like the canteen, and we have a kitchen over here. So canteen just for, again, for fun, a bunch of tables, bunch of benches, things like that, bunch of lighting. Nothing too special, this is just for details. Idea is kind of, this is going to be sort of a underground bunker with sort of a for a community or group, kind of a settlement, I guess. Kind of like the Fallout Force or like the Fallout series of vaults, kind of at least. And then we have a power room for this area here, which is where the power comes from over here. The kitchen just looks like this. There's 2 parts, this part and this part. This is kind of a kiosk area with a counter. And yeah, just for details. This is the place where we store all of our food. So we have a bunch of campfires here for making food. Different chests for storing different types, and then some just storage for chests for other end stuff. I initially planned to make, or to actually use refrigerators as opposed to just storage chests, but it turns out those just doesn't have that much storage items or capacity, so I ended up using storage chests instead. Going further on this tunnel here, we actually get once again back to the generator room. Which allows us to get onto the bottom floor. And going back to the canteen and continue this place, we have the medic ward. So, another sort of reception area. We have a waiting room over here. Behind here we have sort of a staff only room. Over here, we're supposed to have a storage room for medical items, which I never got to implement. And over here, we have 2 sort of clinics, or like bed chambers. And further on here, we would have more stuff, but again, I never got to dig that. Okay. Everything is powered. Went quite recently over, just lit up the entire underground portion of the base, more or less. So yeah. going back to the central room here and going down here, we get into another split here. To the right here is where the actual bunker portion of this underground bunker is going to be. And the plan of the bunker is just to have a very sort of well-defended place. So that if the horde base fails, we can go back to the actual main base itself. And if the main base fails, we will get down here to sort of a quite well-defended area. And also later a escape tunnel as well, if the worst happens. On the other side, we have an underground vault. So go into sort of like center room. And then 3 sort of these vault areas where we just have 27 vault safes. And these are just for fun again. I will probably have another vault like here to actually store the actual valuable stuff. So going back up to the cube here, let's actually go and take a look at how the base is wired up together. So from the main generator room here, we have 3 generators as of now, which are all, I think, almost fully equipped with engines. And they actually go up to, so one of them of course just goes straight up to this here and out to the hallway here. The other 2 wires goes up to the power tunnels. So these are just basically like tunnels for where I can run the power lines. They split in here, so one of them go down this way, which is towards the crafting area. And later also goes to the actual crafting tunnels themselves, or crafting areas themselves. Or sorry, storage. And the second one here goes down to the kitchen, or the canteen. It goes down here. And to this power room here, and it's just actually wired that way. And then here it's just sort of slightly spaghetti wire. So yeah. Anyway, so that's basically actually the main base itself. I wanted, so honestly, actually the left portion of here is completed. I don't think there's much more we can add in terms of like for example, the crafting stuff. There's not much more crafting we can really add to it. I consider maybe sort of gas can / oil crafting room, but that got sort of just cancelled, I guess. To the right side here, though, we need more. I need more categories for the actual storage stuff. Just haven't really been able to find any. I was thinking maybe like sort of a tools, weapons, mods, armor, dice, and sort of put all of that stuff with level 6 items into one room. But again, it's also not that many actual like things there. So I guess we can like store one chest of like lockpicks, one for repair kits, but yeah, I know. Also, of course, this port here also didn't actually get or even started actually, so yeah. Anyway, so that's basically our 2 bases. Other additions too, I wanted actually to have some shotgun turrets or SMG turrets in this wall here. Possibly also with a control room, where I could actually have control of the entire base. What I was kind of thinking is actually to put vault doors here that I can power and open, like open and close all of them with a single switch. Would be kind of nice. And also there's supposed to be a tunnel going from the main base to the control room of the shotgun turrets. Or tunnels. That was also added. Anyway, so that's gonna be it for this episode. In the next one, in the part 2 of this world tour, we're gonna go over the entire world itself. So look at sort of all the mines and cores and things we've mined up to get resources. Gonna take a look at some of the projects, the wasteland clearing project, the sand quarry we got. I'm gonna look at take a look at all these cities, or like everything we've looted. Gonna take a look at the pad here. Gonna take a look at the farm, and just other random stuff. So anyways, hope you liked the video. If you did, please leave a like, and as always, thanks for watching, have a nice day, and goodbye.